Ladies and gentlemen, boys and girls, we're back again with another episode of Bumps and Bruises podcast. Of course, I'm your boy, Marcos, aka at the Sunset Kid. Joined to me by my upper right is Derek, aka Bama. To the upper left is Shane, aka Drizzen. Guys, we have a lot of shit to jump into. And again, this is a podcast by fans for fans. We just try to like shoot the shit and talk about wrestling and give you some results along the way. So this was a action-packed wrestling weekend. Normally a weekend that's dominated solely by AEW. They had some friendly competition this weekend. There was other shows by WWE anchored the weekend, pretty much sandwiching in and sometimes in direct competition with AEW. Number one being Saturday night's main event, which of course emanated from Tampa, and then AEW, of course, had their Double or Nothing, which emanated from Arizona. But then at the same time, WWE dropped Battleground, which was ironically not branded NXT, just WWE presents Battleground, which went head to head with Double or Nothing. So it was an action-packed weekend. We're going to kind of gloss over. Let's start off with what is the beginning of our wrestling week, Friday Night SmackDown. Like, who wants to talk about that? Was there anything of note, guys? I mean, everything is of note, but I know they had a couple qualifying matches for Money in the Bank, I believe, which we're in the Money in Bank season is going to also come to us within less than 2 weeks. So from LA,
it is less than 2 weeks now.
It is less than 2 weeks, right around the corner.
Man,
yep. And of course, Worlds Collide is the night before, which is the first co-branded
same day.
Same day. Oh, excuse me, same day.
Morning, and it's going on YouTube.
Oh,
for free?
Yeah, streaming live on YouTube.
That's pretty cool. I'm still gonna watch it the way I normally watch everything. But so what I believe SmackDown opened up with the John Cena and R-Truth segment, correct? Wasn't it their signing, or was it just a random portion of TV?
I don't think they had a signing because the belt wasn't on the line.
Okay. But I do remember that the TV opened up with that particular segment with them too. Was it a John Cena interview that came out with R-Truth interrupting?
Marcos?
Huh?
Not Marcos.
I can hear you.
Nothing.
What's up?
he just had Tourette's for a moment.
He was just like, nah, Marcos. I was like, excuse me, come again?
So I know R-Truth came out, cut the promo. He's going to beat Hustle, Loyalty, and Respect back into Cena.
Mm-hmm.
And that's where we got the hype from his side. That's the first time that we'd seen him kind of anything close to being old R-Truth or coming around to like the cake quick. I'm a badass era.
But didn't he also did he review his new T-shirt Saturday? Okay.
He came out with that on Saturday.
Yeah, he came out with it on Saturday. He posted about it earlier. It was a post earlier in the day, but it didn't drop to shop till after their match.
Okay.
Yeah, I think it actually dropped during the match.
I want to buy it. Are you guys all in on that T-shirt?
I'm
all for
ordered
Ron Cena tees.
Hey, look. As soon as they come in next episode.
Yeah, I've already got the order in, and it's on the way.
Definitely.
But then we got the women's qualifier with Charlotte, Zelina, and Julia. And in what I didn't expect, to be quite honest. No, Derek, you go ahead.
No, I'm just like, we knew who it was supposed to be. Like, why didn't that happen? So we need to.
Wait. Who was it supposed to be?
You talking about the outcome, or who was supposed to be the third person in the match?
No, who's supposed to win?
Oh no, I think Julia is the new toy, and honestly, Julia, in her short career in Stardom and now WWE and with NXT, she has a rocket. I think Julia might be one of the last people in the Money in the Bank. And I think Charlotte Flair is kind of getting a reset. I think this hopefully might be a storyline in which this kicks off some type of or I think she's actually just might be on Evolution. What do you think?
So I think my contradiction with myself, I always say I want to see new people in these title pictures. In these title pictures, but at the same time, like folks coming up from NXT and then being right in something for a belt, I'm like, bro,
dude, do you want him to face
something up a little bit?
Like think about what Triple H has seen done prior to him taking over booking. All his NXT guys, some of them have gotten footing, and some of the other ones have still had issues. Like think about it, like their recent releases, Raza and Akam, what was their name of their tag team? And I forgot. I'm having a brain fart here. But their tag team, I don't think they would have been cut hadn't Vince just made them horrible on the main roster and like made them go away and then make them come back. I think certain people, they don't get their momentum back. Like, DIY, to their credit, are finally looking like a normal thing on the main roster. When they came up separately and then one of them was in a goofy angle, the other one wasn't, one of them was not being used, and it was
like forced down our throats too.
No, I think Triple H is using them properly. I think Vince McMahon was using down our throats. He's talking about DIY.
Oh, I don't think so.
I think that was a necessary move to undo the Vincing.
Yeah, I agree. Okay. They need shine.
Like the only person, and I wish I knew. Like I almost confirmed that it was Paul Heyman that got behind Kevin Owens and Sammy that led to their pushes to be sustained throughout their WWE careers. Like think about all the other people that got undercut. You got Finn. You got what's it called, Shinsuke. Like granted, I guess Triple H is at a point that he's like, I'm just gonna use Shinsuke in certain spots. Because honestly, like I think the right way that he's booking, you push him to the top to where they can almost hit the ceiling, and then you kind of keep them there, and then that's how you do it. If you don't have the crowd care about them immediately, they're not going to care about them in due time. Like look at what they did with Braun Breaker. Braun Breaker at a certain point, like earlier this year, he looked like there was nobody stopping him, and that's how you book yourself into a corner. Because first they had him lose to Jay, and then they had him win that belt back, but then they had him lose to Dom and him go a different direction. Now it's not a question of does he have the credential? Is a question of when is he going to pay attention to the title picture or to anything like that. Like I think that's what's going to happen with Julia. I think I think Raquel too, not Raquel, her former alliance partner. Like I think that's what they're doing. They showed you that they could be main eventers, and then they're going to kind of level them out and keep them on an even keel. Whereas if you push somebody like a Charlotte Flair, number one, you already gave Zelina, her props. You giving her a title run. You're not going to put her over Charlotte. Right. Charlotte, if like you said, you were like, oh, I want new people, but then you're programmed to be like, how come Charlotte didn't win? Is there something wrong? Is she going to get put? I think it's a natural progression because it wasn't a one-on-one match. And I believe she didn't get involved in the pin. It was she got outclassed by somebody that is factually younger and better in the ring with her at this point in her life. And I think, you still got a lot of miles and a lot of road to go with Charlotte. She's better to work on proven storylines than actually trying to put somebody over, because her character and her as an individual, from what I've seen, the way she physically reacts to something not going wrong in the ring, she's not at that moment. She'll get to there because she's an amazing superstar. But I think keeping her away from the title picture while it's somebody that's making a name for herself Like I could see Julia beat Tiffany Stratton and not bad or not, because
I wouldn't have an issue with it at all.
Yeah, because number one, it wouldn't be like somebody like How, and then Tiffany's still getting, and you could have them trade and feud, and then you use the belt to elevate the talent. But if it's somebody like Charlotte Flair, and then you see Julia, people are gonna be like, nah, that ain't gonna happen. You know what I mean? You got to keep things fresh. Just like I see with Io Sky, she's dynamic. She could either win against the Money in the Bank person or whoever she's defending the title at any pay-per-view, or she could lose and she won't skip a beat because she's proven. When you have somebody that needs the belt, like right now, Charlotte, her value, her stock right now, fandom is not low, but it's to the point that you can't put her in a title picture because then you have to Roman Reigns her. What does that mean? That means you got to give her a lengthy reign, or else people are going to start wondering what's going on. Like, think about like what happened with Liv Morgan. Liv Morgan, if she needed that lengthy title run before she lost it because it established her as a main event player. Now she's elevating the tag belts, honestly.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? Think about that. Like she's out there, you know, it's different. It's a different situation. And I think SmackDown right now, it isn't a youth movement. It's kind of like I coined it to back in the day. Shane will probably remember. I'm not sure if you were a fan back then. It was when it was the Cena Angle Taker show.
Yeah.
When it was like all these new bloods were influxed that are now our veterans now. Like you got to let them cook. Where I think Raw is more like fresh, like you know what I mean? Like you got people that 10 years ago would not be in the spot. So I think they're having a resurgence on the women's side, whereas Raw is the opposite. Is your established stars are carrying that brand, like on the women's roster, and you know I'm here for it because you know SmackDown got all the top guys. Think about it; they're all at the title picture. You got Cody, you know, you got Cena, like guys that you expect to be there. You don't like think about it. Who outside of the Cena storyline, who can slot up and be believable to have a long-term feud? Nobody yet. Like, you know what I mean? So that's where they got to get to a point. That's why this whole thing with Cena, I believe, ends with Cody, because Cena's not going to put somebody over on the way out. I'm not saying that he wouldn't. I'm just saying it doesn't make sense for the storyline. I think he goes out on his back, you know, gives Cody back the title, and Cody could trade or give somebody a big win later on down the line. You know what I mean?
Absolutely. And that's one of the things I think they do have one person that could possibly be the long-term storyline.
Do not say LA Knight.
LA Knight's the closest thing they have.
But I don't think LA Knight is the best person in his entire storyline right now. Like if you say a Jey Uso, not a Jey, excuse me, if you say a Jacob Fatu or Solo, yeah, because they have the upside. But I think the LA Knight situation is so sensitive that you can't push him up to the main event unless you're going to give it to him.
I agree, because we've been down that road before.
Because if he goes up there and fails, they're going to be like, oh, well, he's a failure. Like, I guess he's never going to win the big one. And that's where he's at right now. Like,
because we've seen it before. We've seen it with Roman, but I think he's going to get a program with Cena before Cena's done.
Hopefully it's something that I know this is sound shitty. Hopefully it's something that somebody else interferes, a Cody or something, and then it's not a clean loss. I don't think he can survive a clean title picture because then nobody will take him serious. It's like the whole Dolph Ziggler thing. Every time Dolph Ziggler challenged for the WWE title back when he wasn't fully established, the fact that he challenged and didn't have a long reign, like makes it hard for you to buy in that he's gonna win. He's the anti-Miz. Like Miz could get into a title picture right now and win, and people be like, all right, this is something he's done. But for you to get up there for your first time, you got to win the title, even if it's as a transitional champion, especially him giving his age and his roster spot. Like I know his role right now is to be a foil to elevate Jacob Fatu, but at a certain point, you know, it's like, all right, he's won that belt, what, 2 or 3 times? So fans are like, cool. But if he challenges for the WWE championship and fails convincingly, that's where his ceiling is going to be.
So you think he's supposed to? Do you think he should be in that Money in the Bank match, or should have went towards somebody else?
That I don't think the briefcase would serve him well. I think, and these are my 2 picks for where I think that this would serve him well. And correct me if I'm wrong. Did Jacob qualify?
Yeah,
Jacob and Solo have both qualified.
Okay,
both in it.
Either one of those 2 are perfect candidates for that. You know why? Yes, this is why, because you don't have to necessarily win now. You could win you could have that later on. That's in case of emergency storyline. You know what I mean? Like I can see Solo cashing in on Cody. I can see Jacob cashing in on a heel champion and doing a double turn. You know what I mean? Becoming face at that point in time. Like, it fits his character to go in there and dog walk the champ's ass. Like, you know what I mean? Like, he has a bad night, he loses the belt to somebody that's gonna be the US champ for a while, and then he's like, you know what? I got this briefcase. Time for me to, make it work. And you also got like the more likely suspect is gonna be Seth, because it works on his storyline. Like, because now you have that ever looming threat, and it works with his character. He can say, I'm not thinking about today, I'm thinking about future. And he's like, I'm going to wait and hold this until I believe it's the right time for me to do it. So, quote unquote, every champion is on borrowed time. You know what I mean? Like, that is perfect for the character that because he's like the new cerebral assassin. You know what I mean? Think about that. Like, he's not going to want to get the belt right now when there's a lot of things. Like, he wouldn't insert himself into the Cody feud because he knows that's going to be mucky waters, and he's not going to insert himself into Jay because he believes that he could beat him at any time. So it's kind of like it's a wait and see. So, but I think the briefcase will better serve to establish a new star. I think this is the right time to have somebody like a Solo Sikoa win and have Jacob feud with a champion, or like have an issue with somebody, and then Jacob dog walks the champ, will beat his ass down, and then Jacob, being the smarmy heel that he is, Solo being the smarmy heel, pins it, and then he was like, I'm the champ, I told you about this, and Jacob being like, dog, the only reason you won is because I beat the brakes off a homeboy before you cashed in. Like, that writes itself. And then, it's a great way to establish new people. Because, like, I think Cody, the fact that he did a whole year with the belt, I think he's good. You don't need to protect him as a champ anymore. I think he should always be in the title picture and then use him a couple of times. But we're at the perfect time that both champions are not needed for a long reign. So, thoughts on that.
That segues perfectly into kind of the next match that we were going to talk about on SmackDown, and that was the qualifier, which we saw Shinsuke, Aleister Black, and LA Knight. And in something that surprised me, LA Knight won that match. So LA Knight has qualified for the Money in the Bank. I didn't even fully pay attention to the match because I thought it was a just given that they were going to put Aleister Black into the Money in the Bank.
First of all, shout out to Shinsuke, because number one, if he was going to get cut, he would have gotten cut with the last set of people.
Yep.
We're past WrestleMania, so he's cut free. Hopefully they keep using him. Like, I understand his entire role in this spot was so he doesn't have to, nobody else gets pinned. But I don't like LA Knight winning the briefcase. You know why? Because I feel like they're going to give him goober booking, and he's going to say, I want to challenge you on this date at this time. And it's going to be like,
he's going to pull a John Cena?
Yeah. And then I feel like he's not going to win, because I feel like they book baby faces weirdly when it comes to the briefcase.
Hasn't there only been one person to win like that, though?
Yes.
Probably Cena.
No, Cena lost. Cena took a L to CM Punk when he said, I'm going to cash in on the 1000th episode of Raw.
Yeah, I don't know. But it's always like, this is a better thing for a heel or somebody that is a tweener like Damian Priest.
Well, and Damian Priest was a heel when he won the Money in the Bank.
And yeah,
it's just what he did once he had the Money in the Bank, and with he and the dynamic with him and Rhea, they flipped from being heels to no one could deny that they were face at that point. As soon as he started
almost at the same time, like
as soon as he started being senior Money in the Bank, like that was fun, that was entertaining, and the crowd responded to it. And
but I don't think you can. I think this is why I think Money in the Bank, at least for the men's side, has always been a better tool utilized for a heel. Every single time. You know why? Because they're the ones that are looking to confirm what the Money in the Bank is for. Like, I fully believe that if you're facing the WWE and you want a title shot, and you can easily book that, like for wrestling logic, have a tournament or have a feud where you guys are trading wins for non-title matches, and then be like, all right, I want my title shot. You don't need to have somebody put on this match and then be like, next pay-per-view is me and you. Because that's what Royal Rumble is for. Money in the Bank is for somebody to catch you at a horrible position. I think the only person, even as a face, and first of all, I think CM Punk was a tweener when he cashed in on Edge. I think it serves that purpose where a heel gets their comeuppance, and that could happen at any time, and then you cash in it. But it has to make logic. It makes sense. Like everybody WrestleMania, regardless if it was WrestleMania or not, the fact that the heel was the champion and then he had an extended beatdown, you knew what was gonna happen. Like, you know what I mean? Like it's perfect for that setting. Like, not like, I feel like LA Knight is too much of the John Cena cloth. He's gonna, of the old Cena cloth. He's gonna be like, I want to challenge you. And it's as soon as he announces the event, if it's like Saudi Arabia, like, oh, he's gonna definitely lose.
Did you say Cena cloth?
Off of this, the same cloth as Cena, like the cookie cutter baby face.
Oh, so it's not like Santa Claus? I thought Cena
he
Claus
was
like Santa Claus.
Ho ho ho.
Exactly.
Whatever. First of all, you're drinking milk over there, I think. I know it's orange juice.
That color's blonde.
I was like,
oh. And second of all, fuck both of you. But I honestly believe that LA Knight's character has lost edge.
He has. He lost the shine as soon as he lost to Roman.
He's a cookie cutter baby face now.
Yeah.
You know what I mean?
He's a baby face enhancement talent that can work with a whole lot of people. But as we've seen, and as I've said on here before, if he doesn't work with the right people, it's not a good program.
Yeah, because he looks like a goober.
Which
it's like he's the type of guy that like, like, let's say, because he didn't, let's say Jacob Fatu would have cheated to beat him for the belt, you'd have been like, oh man, that sucks.
But it surprises me because before we had LA Knight, we had Eli Drake, who worked with everyone and did a fantastic job. And I think that's just kind of that.
I think once we started
small promotion style, go ahead.
I think once the fans started buying his merch and he became one of the top merch sales, and it was about his catchphrase, it became a double-edged sword because he was over as Jey Uso, except at a certain point there was an organic drop-off where Jey is just like, it's like, damn, he just keeps going up and up. Like, I think arguably Jey right now is the most popular that he's been since his time. Like him coming out on Monday Night Raw, it's to the point that he gasses himself before he gets to the ring because the crowd is like, they're here for they're there to yeet. Like, you know what I mean?
The height of his popularity was Rumble and the lead up to him winning the belt. I think now some of that shine is starting to slip away because it's a little bit redundant in the things that he's doing. And that's what we kind of saw with LA Knight. He kept doing everything right, and the crowd was so incredibly over for him. And when he had that match with Roman, there's absolutely no question who the fans wanted to win that match, and it wasn't Roman. They wanted LA Knight to get the belt. And every time he came to the ring, every time he was on screen, everything pointed to the fans wanting him to take that title off of Roman. And then when they didn't do it, it was like, all right, well, what do we do with this guy now? And he got put into the mid-card title picture, which is a great place to be, but it's not what the fans wanted at the time. So they started to cool.
And that's why I said he can't go to that well again.
Yeah, he can't go to that well again. If he gets put in that situation and doesn't get it,
because they already
he's Shinsuke for life.
Yeah, he gets like there's only one person that has perennially chased the championship and then won it years later and survive it, and he's a Hall of Famer. Guess who it is? Who can you guess? No,
Miz?
No, Shawn Michaels. You know how many years Shawn Michaels chased that world title? And then that's why people were like, oh, Vince will never put the belt on him. And then when he finally did, the crowd was all in on him. Think about it. He lost his first Royal Rumble win, WrestleMania main event, lost it like a goober. And I was like, oof. Even as a kid, I was like, oh, I guess they're not going to do anything with him. But then he won it afterwards, the second time. I was like, all right, that's not a lot of people. Like, I think if LA Knight goes up for a title match and it's not like a blow-off show, like, was it Royal Rumble that he faced Roman Reigns? Or was it a Survivor Series or something like that?
It wasn't Royal Rumble.
Because, like, Royal Rumble is one of those weird events that a title match you don't take stock in because you know that that they're not going to change hands 4 weeks before, like 3 months before Mania. Like, you know what I mean? Right. It's usually like, all right, they have built-in feuds. So like that's usually a throwaway. But if like you can tell, like if somebody, like if LA Knight wins by some miracle of God, he wins Money in the Bank, and he's like, oh, Saudi Arabia, you're gonna be like, all right, dog. Just tell me you're not gonna win without telling me you're not gonna win. Like there's no pay-per-view that he'll win. Like if let's say he wins Money in the Bank and there's like a major pay-per-view coming up, but I feel like him winning has all the makings of a Saturday night's main event like thing where whoever's the champ is just gonna be like, and still it's like,
because no titles change hands on it's a big house show. It's a televised house show.
Yeah, it's like that's what basically it is.
Oh, so the one who announced that they were gonna cash in on someone ahead of time, it was Big E with the Bobby Lashley, Randy Orton.
But that was believable. Think about it. If he would have like cashed in on like Randy Orton or John Cena or Seth, you would have been like,
But it was whoever won, and Randy Orton was in that match.
No? I don't know. Like I get it. I 100% get it. But anyway, what was the next match down on the card?
Well, there a couple of things happened. We got
Is he cutting in and out for you?
Yes, he did. Far. Yeah, I think the mic just.
I scooted back. Settle down now. Then we got Fraxium Street Profits, which both of those teams can absolutely work. Fraxium has been much better than anyone expected. Even those that like Fraxium in NXT couldn't expect them to be doing what they're doing right now.
Do you felt like their moment was robbed with that interference by a group that Street Profits never even called out? Like, I felt like this was a bad spot to have them come back.
I don't think it was a bad spot to have it come back because of the circumstances surrounding them coming back. So, title match, everything's, going one way, and then DIY comes down to interfere, which makes sense. They've been in this the whole time. Motor City Machine Guns, they come down.
You love to say Motor Shitty?
Motor Shitty Machine Guns. It wasn't even calling them shitty. It was just lisping. And they come down, make the save. So it's Fraxium versus the two of them, as it should be once again. But the interference lets Street Profits get the edge. Montez goes up to the top, getting ready to hit the splash. Lights go out. And when the lights come back on.
Let me ask you this, storyline wise, where do you think this will fit? Like, you know what I mean? Like, what is the reason that at some point they're going to explain as to why they interfered or why they made the save?
I think the reason that they interfered might actually be called out. And I think, it wasn't an accident that they came back the day that they did. So lights come back on, and we've got the Wyatt 6 in the middle of the ring.
Is that an anniversary of something?
It was Bray Wyatt's birthday.
Yeah.
I did not know that.
And that's why they had the birthday cake in the ring with the single candle. What, after they left?
Because I didn't watch the full segment on this.
So as the show is going and we get the produced by graphic and everything, they slide in and they light a candle and there's a little birthday cake in front of them with a single candle.
So you think they're going to come back, or was it a one-time birthday deal? You think they're back, or was it a cameo?
I think they're back. And the thing that I would love to see, because I think the teams in there could make it amazing, I would love to see some crazy 4 or 5 team tornado match and put DIY, put Motor City Machine Guns, put Fraxium, put Street Profits, and put Wyatt 6.
Well, who are the 2 guys that you would pick? Because there's 2 tag teams in there that you could technically pair. Like I know what's it called? The blonde dude that used to be in the way. I know he would make a good tag team with
Dexter?
Joey. Yeah, Dexter and Joe Casey.
Mm-hmm.
But I'm also intrigued by,
Rowan and Bo?
Yeah. I think Rowan and Bo would probably be the one that they'd push to the top because they have the high level experience.
And that's like OG Wyatt family.
And yeah.
Okay.
That's you get the brother of Bray
and the blood brother, and then Eric Rowan, the last member of the original Wyatt or the original Wyatt family.
Yeah. So. I'm surprised I guess because of the timing, and I know it was Bo needed some time off or whatever. But I'm surprised that you got 0 interaction with Braun and them. Like, I feel like that is a huge callback.
Which if
since they came back, there was 0 interaction with them.
Which, if rumors are true, then the word going around is that Braun has a handshake agreement with Triple H and Nick Khan that he's going to be able to come back kind of a la Derek's favorite Brock Lesnar and Goldberg, just pop back when he's needed as that huge monster, as they love to do. And he'll come back and be in those spots. So I don't think it's something that we write off yet. I think there's still a possibility that ends up happening.
Okay. So is this going to be a nostalgic act, or you think they're going to make an actual go for the belts?
I think they're going to get shot straight into the title picture because that's what everybody wants them to be involved. Every time they're in the ring, people freak out for it. And as we were just saying with LA Knight, you got to cash in on that. You can't just let that simmer, because they did for a while when they first. And it's always hard when you have these characters. When you have these characters, the Undertakers, the Kanes, the spiritual. And it's also rumored one of the reasons that Edge was upset with the direction that they took Judgment Day, because Edge wanted to have like that supernatural part to it, and once the changes started happening, they said, no, we're not doing that, it's too hard, and they went with a more conventional, this is a kind of a biker gang type feel.
Yeah, it's crazy because it's funny to hear that, but then Adam Copeland, now that he has full autonomy of his character, has not introduced anything of that aspect on this side. I think he quickly dropped the vampire gimmick after the second pay-per-view he worked for AEW, and it's like, no, I'm just an old grizzled veteran that's pissed off.
I didn't even know they reintroduced it, and that just shows
I mean,
how much I pay.
like, you know, he brought out the what's it called with the Brood music, which is owned by I forgot what's it, the vampire, the guy that introduced him, Gangrel, and like, you know what I mean. And he introduced like this whole thing. I believe when he was feuding with some tag, he was like, yeah, we're supernatural, but then it's like, oh nope, I'm just Christian, I want to beat your ass. Like, like, oh, okay.
Maybe it's like the Hancock superhero situation. They can't actually be vampires unless Christian and Edge are together.
Maybe. But I don't want that Edge and Christian. That's not the reunion I want. I want him to be ENC. You know,
yeah, let's hit
the
some
5-second pole. You know, the concerto. Like,
hey, I was there for the 37-second pose for the benefit of flash photography.
That's funny.
That was the night after Survivor Series, SummerSlam in Raleigh.
Mm-hmm. That's funny.
Way back in the day. But then we got Saturday Night Main Event,
which for all intents and purposes was a fun show, but it was, in my opinion, was a setup for the next pay-per-view.
It absolutely was a setup for the next pay-per-view. They had good matches. We got the CM Punk, Sami Zayn versus Seth Rollins and Braun Breaker, which was a solid match. And, you know, the faces battle back, get ready to put the whooping on. And then all of a sudden, here's this dude jumps the guardrail, puts CM Punk through the barrier right as Sami Zayn is getting ready to hit the haluva kick for the win. But nope, this powerhouse, we don't know who he is. And then he gets in the ring, and Bronson Reed has returned and hits a gorgeous tsunami that, for anyone that knows enough about taking a bump or has ever taken a bump, for a big guy like that to land the way he did to protect CM Punk, go watch that over and over again because it's perfect.
I mean, so were you one of the people that were upset at the inclusion of Bronson Reed?
No,
no, what?
Like
so Derek, you go first, and I'll tell you why I say no.
So I say yes because they were just beefing.
So you don't like the storyline explanation that they drilled through our heads on Monday Night Raw?
No.
As to why?
No. Look, Seth nearly died taking all them tsunamis. Like what? Less than a year ago?
I don't think he died. Well, in real life.
Yes. No, he didn't die.
As noted by what I just said about go watch it.
Yes, you know, he knows how to take a bump. But no, like this was a big feud for like a long time, which was really never settled. So like, why now is he just all buddy unless he gonna turn on them later? You know what I'm saying? But then wasn't he just a part of the bloodline last time we saw him?
No, he was affiliated. He was gang affiliated.
Hey, close enough.
What, how is he gonna what do you want him to come out and jump Jacob? So they already got Jeff Cobb, dog. People move on. He's
been gone for damn near a year.
He has been gone for a long time.
They ain't been beefing for that entire year.
Was his ankle? It was his ankle, wasn't it?
Yeah, he broke his ankle.
Broke his foot.
Christ.
It wasn't his ankle. He broke his foot. They thought it was his ankle, but no, apparently the break happened from the ankle all the way down. Like it just broke multiple bones.
You saw how he hit. How he hit the ground. It was off the top of the cage, right?
Yeah.
Yeah, but he was also trying to protect the wrestler that he was landing on.
Yes. I mean, obviously.
You know, like if he didn't give a shit, if he was a poor worker, hell, if he was Bastion Booger, he would have just been like, well, now that guy's gonna have internal bleeding. Like he's gonna be gone for a few months.
So the reason I don't mind it is because we don't get what we all thought was gonna happen with the Sammy turn, and we get to avoid a forced.
I still think it's gonna happen.
It still could. But if it happened now, I thought it would have happened too fast for almost the exact same reasons
it could have happened the night after Mania. The look she gave, like, nope, perfect. Give it to us.
Right now.
Yeah, but that's the Jey Uso storyline you're talking about.
I mean, yes, but that's
this is a CM Punk Roman Reigns. I still believe that they're gonna need a fourth man because they're gonna basically be up against a powerhouse team, and heels always have an advantage. At some point now, it's gonna end up being Roman, CM Punk, and Sammy versus the fourth. It's gonna have to be Sammy. I think they're gonna hint at a fourth man. And
no, you said CM Punk, Sammy, Roman.
Yeah.
He's saying that Sammy flips and turns on him.
Yeah, like it's gonna be a situation where heels. That's the thing about wrestling and heels; they're dastardly. You know what I mean? They're gonna always make sure that they have the advantage. So I honestly think that the fact that Paul and Sammy keep interacting, it makes sense. But I think it's going to become on a grander stage. I think the face is going to be always like at a disadvantage. I think that's when you naturally bring Jay into the fold and Jimmy, and it'll be the Usos, CM Punk, and Roman Reigns 4-man tag versus whatever this unnamed faction, the Seth Sexy Men. That's what I'm gonna start calling them, the Seth Sexy Men quartet, and then that's how you do it. I think the final form, quote unquote, of both factions, it's not going to be a faction. The final form is going to go off, and I honestly think that the storyline is not going to end where we normally see Roman Reigns storylines. I think they're just going to lose, and it's going to be like, well, we tried. And then Jey Uso is going to be like, later. And then Jimmy's going to be like, later. And then, you know what I mean? Like,
and Jay's going to go back to yeeting all over the place.
Yeah. And then CM Punk, I think what's going to come down to is CM Punk and Roman Reigns are going to wrestle one-on-one. But it's going to be like, there's going to be a miscommunication that not like a heel turn, but one of them is going to be frustrated that they lost the feud against this faction. And that's when they're going to turn their focus on each other.
I kind of think that it leads to Seth Roman one-on-one finally, which has been slowly building for a decade.
That's what I'm saying. That's what I'm saying, that Roman, sorry, I might have used that. I think Roman, CM Punk, after the heels are going to, after this new group beats him decidedly, I think it's going to lead to a frustrating moment. And I'm still on the fence on who's going to do that. I feel like it's more Roman Reigns' character, like something like, me and my family never lose. We lost because of you. And then it's going to be like, wait, what the hell you say? And then they're going to beef.
Yeah.
And then just finally have that one-on-one feud that
that one-on-one has been building for forever, it seems like, at this point. Speaking of builds the one-on-one, then we got Zelina Vega as the United States champion versus Chelsea Green trying to get her gold back. And
she retained.
Zelina retained, sadly, for the masses.
To me, I'm like, oh, okay, so I guess this is not a transitional push. Okay.
But in that match, we saw possibly the worst 619 in the longest time, that resulted in her botching that, trying to make up for it, and kicking Chelsea Green square in the face and more than likely breaking her nose.
Which honestly, I think it's gonna
good storytelling play though.
I think it's gonna lead to her Becky moment. Like,
you think so?
Well, her post about it was fantastic.
I think the fans are gonna, like, she could, because if you remember, well, you guys, I don't know if you pay attention to the indies like that. Like, she did this whole thing when she like cosplaying as Cactus Jack for the longest, to the point that Mick Foley acknowledged her. I think you might get hardcore Chelsea, and that's gonna endear her even more to the fans. And she's massively over, and I think that's gonna make her face turn, and then which I believe is gonna. She might get her belt back, but I honestly think that it might end up with her getting an actual women's title run. Like, she's ready. She's a natural person of, she does well with what she's given. She still remains popular. and then you could take the belt off her and give it to somebody that needs it. Like Selena needed something besides being a manager. I thought they were going to put her back with Andrade when she went back to SmackDown.
That's what they should have done.
Why do you not like Selena?
I didn't know she was a wrestler. I didn't know anything about her TNA career or her Indies career. Like, yo, I'm not even funny. Like, when she appeared at NXT, I was like, oh, cool. They're giving Andrade a mouthpiece, because Andrade back at that time barely spoke English. It was like, hey, my name's Jeff. I'm here to.
My name is Jeff.
Yeah, like, my name's Jeff. Like, you know, and it's like, but now it's like, I think I can't wait until they announce his match. He has to have a match at a Worlds Collide, and it has to be a high profile match. Like, I honestly think we're finally. I think AAA, that is where a lot of these guys that might fall into the cracks are gonna get major pushes.
They're gonna get some shine.
And I think when SmackDown reduces their time, which is coming soon in the fall, to 2 hours, I think having these people still continue, you know, their backstage segment matches here and there, it's gonna lead to crowds to watching AAA or their branded pay-per-views or even NXT. That's where you have this robust Latin roster is gonna shine.
Did y'all feel like that Chelsea Green match was like last minute thrown together?
I believe I believe it looked rushed, like, in the ring, because I think Selena is green. I think she spends more time pandering to fans than she does in the ring. And, you know, she's an amazing person, but her ring skills have not changed. And I'm not the only one that feels that way. Like,
I definitely agree.
I think she's more image first than wrestler first.
You think she's an amazing person, Shane?
I mean, socially,
I know people that think she is.
So, you know, hopefully it leads, because I feel like this, like the feud. Remember when we talked about this months ago?
Mm-hmm.
How we were like, this makes no sense. She just lost to Piper. How is she gonna beat the champ if she just lost to Piper and somehow she's the champ? It's like, I feel like this entire booking is like last minute booking. And I thought it was Tommy End, aka Aleister Black, is back. Here you go. Thanks for sticking with us. But
yeah, thanks for convincing your husband to come back.
Yeah, like, now I don't think she had a part in that. I think what I used to think like that, but I think a lot of times couples are kind of like, bro, wherever we could get the most money. Like, you know what I mean? It's like, I don't care.
I think a lot of couples, now that you have promotions that are willing to accommodate them being together, I think it's more than we think it is. Like, they've said hands down that it's part of the reason that Becky came back is because they knew that they could stay together. And they weren't going to separate them, because now they can, go home for the week and they're together with their daughter. They can, if they're not too far, they bring their daughter with them. Like, that's a big thing for a young family.
And you know what? If you think about it, a lot of people that have young families like that, or are young married couples, like Becky, like, it's legit what she's able to do. Because think about all these marriages that they don't ever leave. Like, you know what I mean? When you're in a prominent position, like, one of them doesn't ever like go home to like take, like, what she did. It was very courageous, and like, she believed in herself and the fact she came back. Like, there's never been a superstar of her caliber that her husband was also a superstar of Seth's caliber. It's like, all right, I have a baby, I'm gonna be back, and then come back and not lose a beat. Like, you know what I mean? Like, think about it. Like, I thought at a certain point I had a triple check before, the rumors of them being separated. I was like, oh man, maybe Charlotte got pregnant. Maybe she's like, I don't want to wrestle no more. Like, you know what I mean? Because that can't happen. Life is life. Like, you don't know, your life can completely change. I know, Shane, you're a dad. When a kid comes into play, you're like, maybe I don't want to do this no more. You know what I mean?
It changes a whole lot. What I thought was my trajectory went yoink.
Like, shouts to Bianca Belair and
Montez.
because I don't even know if they want children or whatever, but I'm pretty sure that's a conversation that it got to be meticulously planned.
Yeah, they've
like
talked about it in interviews.
Like they're both like high profile.
Mm-hmm.
Some say more her than him, but it's like, oh man, like she got to think about that. Like, yo, you're gonna lose more than a year of your career.
Yep.
That you give your blood, sweat, and tears. It's not like, unfortunately, being an athlete is where, especially the WWE, you're in a weird situation where there is no off season that you can't plan around that. It's like you're gone. And I don't think wrestlers are like, the female wrestlers are kind of like your normal moms. When I say that, like, they're having a child and it becomes a danger for them to be an athlete, they're home. And then after that, they're not thinking about whatever profession they are. And then they have the baby, and then they're going to 3 months, in my opinion, is not time enough. And then if you have the disposable income, you're like, if I can delay it, I'm not going to come back like away, like a la Becky. Like, I'm trying to think about anybody that has had a kid that didn't immediately retire, because that's what happened to like the divas, right? A lot of divas.
And then you have situations where they don't retire, like you have Carmella, who left to go have her child with Corey Graves, and she had complications with the pregnancy that kept her from returning as quickly as she wanted to. Yeah. Well, then when she couldn't return as quickly as she and they wanted her to, creative didn't have anything for her when she was able to come back. And then
now she has health issues that is preventing her from ever returning to the.
Well, no, she was ready to return, and she is pregnant with another child. So,
oh shit, really?
Her contract expired. They didn't re-up because when they had something for her, she couldn't come back. And then when she was ready to come back, they didn't have anything for her. Which that's not a blame on any person at all. It's just how the cookie crumbles.
And then it's added layers of complication because, I like to call myself a normie. Like, I'm not a wrestler, I'm not anything, but it's like you don't have that with your partner if both of you are in this life. Like, you know what I mean? Like if let's say Carmella, her husband was an accountant, but no, he's on air more than she was. Like, it's not like it's like, oh, I'm gonna fall back. You come back, don't worry about it. I'm at home. It's like, no, I might lose my job if I'm home. Like,
shout out to my wife Christina, who's taken as many finishers as most of the women in the WWE when I was training.
I was about to say, where are you going with this?
I was like, where is this?
No, it's legit. Like, you always have to worry about that. Like, there's so many things that add into what has to be planned around. Like when I was younger and I did training, obviously I've been with Christina for a very long time.
Honestly, outside of like, not to cut you off, like, I'm trying to think, there hasn't been a female superstar that we've known in this that took a maternity leave like that.
I think Maria Kanellis would be the only other.
But she was an on-air personality. There was no rush to bring her back to get in the ring. I think the only other person would be Sarah Logan. That is the War Raiders, the wife.
Valkyrie.
And she just flat out retired. Like, she was like, whatever. I know she got let go, but then she was like, I'm good. I'm good with that life.
There's been talk about her coming back as well.
Probably for Evolution.
That's a good point too.
Yeah.
But
if you think about it, like you have, that's an unescapable part of your life. Like, that's like, you know what I mean? Think about all the top women right now in WWE.
That's what we saw. Alexa would be the only one that I could think of.
But she came back. She went away for a really long time.
Well, because she had some complications as well.
Yeah, but also it was kind of like she wasn't rushing way back. Like, I thought she was going to be done.
There was a lot of people that thought she was going to be done because,
like, I'm talking about done with the industry.
Her to rush back.
Yeah,
the company wanted to rush her back, and she said, "No, I need more time." and that created the friction that then they were like, all right, well, if you're not ready, then we're not ready for you type thing. So different than the Carmella situation, but still similarities there.
But then there's situations kind of like Rhea. I don't expect her to have kids anytime soon because her husband has a full-blown career where he's traveling himself, and they're not on the same show.
Well, that's how babies can happen.
No, but I'm saying, like, if you think about it, like the child care for that would be insane.
Yeah, but they make enough that it doesn't matter.
No, but I'm talking about like who's with the baby on the road. Like, you know what I mean? Like who's the one? Like, you know, they kind of work similar schedules. So it's kind of like, what has happened?
Yeah,
that's where a nanny and an au pair comes in, and
what's the au pair?
Au pair is
a fancy name for a nanny, but they're typically live-in.
Yeah.
Oh, okay. Yeah.
But then it's like, is your kids going to be raised by an au pair? It's like it's so many things. It's like
for 2 to 3 days a week, sure.
Like we take for granted the sacrifice that so many of these female superstars have to go through. Like, not everybody was blessed. Like, Jade had her entire family before she even set foot in the squared circle.
Right.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? Like, you got to think about these people. For those that do want children, because I know everybody doesn't want to have kids, but it's like, think about it. Look at the Bella twins. The first thing that they did when they kind of retired or left or weren't on an active contract was when they started their family.
Well, and with the Bella twins, that's all you can do is look at it because you can't touch. All right, so let's go on to John Cena versus Ron Cena.
Dun, 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 dun.
I thought it was a good match for what it was. I thought it was going to be for the belt. It wasn't.
I thought it was for the belt as well.
But this literally was a feel good moment. You got to see R-Truth be him, be serious and also be entertaining as he is. And think about it. Every couple of years, R-Truth gets, the Miz call, which is like, hey, we need you in a high profile spot. Do it.
Could R-Truth have snuck a pin?
And no, if it was non-title,
would it have hurt Cena if R-Truth would have snuck a pin?
Nothing hurts Cena at this point, but I think the like thinking of it as logic, like WWE logic. I've become very well versed in that over the years. Like, when you start adding the scenarios together, I think the only way that there would have been a pin if it would have been for the belt. And you're like, oh, but Marcus, that's crazy. I was like, no, because it could have been a revenge factor. Like, you know what I mean? It could have been Cody would have came out then to cost him because of just how unceremoniously Cena cost him the belt. You know what I mean? It would have been like a middle finger type. I know CM Punk would have definitely done that, some shit like that. It fits in his character. And then if you want
it being a non-title match, they easily could have had R-Truth go over and then immediately
not on a pin.
Why not?
Why not?
I don't think so. I think it would have been a distracted pin. I don't think it would have been a clean pin.
Which a distracted pin is fine, and that's actually what I was going with. Like, have something happen and R-Truth, and I think I said this last week too.
Quick little roll up.
Do something to distract Cena. Quick roll up. R-Truth gets the pin. Everybody's like, "Oh my god!" And with it not being for the belt, it would have been even easier. It turns out that it was just a distraction. R-Truth's like, I got you. And we see a smart R-Truth for a minute.
And then what? He would have had to get a title match.
Well, no, that just causes Cena to snap. And then R-Truth is on the shelf for a while. And he can completely be on the shelf, give him some time off, whatever the case may be. And then it adds fuel to the fire of Cena saying, you all made me do this. It's because of you all that I had to go against this guy that I've always been friends with. You guys made me do this.
But did you like him losing because of the low blow?
I didn't care. It was in character with what Cena's been doing. He doesn't care about wrestling. He's going to win any way that he can. He doesn't care who he screws over. It's right in line with the current character.
Do you think they? Because again, I didn't watch the complete show. Do you think it was a disservice to not have Cody come out?
No, not at all. No. I think that would have been worse.
But then it's like it kind of is weird that he didn't come out at least to run John Cena off. I know John Cena didn't attack him, but it's like, bro, so you care more about Jey Uso than you do about R-Truth, and arguably you've known R-Truth longer.
True, but
Jay is. Go ahead, Derek.
What was the point? Like the real reason to have him come out then? I mean, Jey Uso, that's his buddy. He pulled them to Raw, got him away from the bloodline. You know, they tag team champions together, all that other stuff. You know, drinking in the.
I think the WWE they neutered his return by having him come out and cut a promo in the beginning, and already have like a backstage interaction. Like I think that was a situation where they're kind of like, all right, it's not what you think. Like I think if you would have had his music hit, like have John Cena attempting to cheat and then him distracting Cena so R-Truth could get the pin, would have been better. But I would have liked it if it was for the belt, because then I would have gotten interested. Like as soon as I saw it wasn't for the belt, I'm like, oh yeah, John Cena wins.
But then we got the blood feud return, where they've just been going round and round and round. Drew McIntyre, Damian Priest can only be settled inside of a steel cage. Mm-hmm. And good match, solid top to bottom.
Yes, it was.
I've talked over and over again about how much I like both of these guys. They can push both of these guys to the moon. It would not be an issue to me. My biggest takeaway from this match was Mr. Jesse the Body Ventura being the worst thing on commentary, out-charting my disdain for a number of the AEW commentary. Giving him a live microphone was the worst decision in wrestling industry in the last 10 years. He didn't know who anybody was. He didn't know how the matches worked. He just talked stupidly about stupid things. Do not give that man a microphone again, even if it's for nostalgia, even if it's for Saturday Night Main Event. Do not give him a microphone, because the way that he was such an idiot when, spoiler alert, Damian Priest hit the concerto on Drew McIntyre, opened the door and walked out, to Jesse Ventura going, "This is stupid. How does he get to win by walking out? What a coward." Explain to him how this shit works before you give him a live microphone, please.
I think this is gonna be a situation where once their first year, like 2025 ends, and then next year they're planning out another Saturday Night Main Event, I think they're gonna bring in somebody else.
Well, we get another Saturday Night Main Event in July.
I know. I'm saying we get one in July, and then we're getting one in I think twice in the fall. So I think once this year's out, I think because you think about it as a TV season. I think they're now on a 1-year contract, and I think whenever it gets renewed, because I think this is ratings for NBC, I think they're gonna be like JR or Jerry the King, like somebody that's like, oh, I'm not a goober right now. Because I mean, they were
the ones you mentioned are goobers right now, so
like they're on pins and needles from the first time. Like you saw when they first cut to him live mic and he started talking so much shit about tongue in cheek with WWE. Like
he's horrible. Like, he's done it both of them.
Like he does it. I think although he's forgiven the WWE and he doesn't, the management that was there that screwed him over is gone. Under indictment, and like, you know what I mean? But it's like, he's still just kind of like, like I'm going to share my displeasure over the fact of me actually doing my job. And I think that's where we're at. I mean, it's been a horrible week for commentators. You saw what this guy did on AEW. He blew the call.
Oh no, which call got blown?
The call, we talked about it.
It's literally in the group chat right now.
I was like, what's on his shirt? We just talked about this.
Oh, that's not a blown call. That's just missing a reference.
Yeah, but come on now. Like, he's supposed to be the guy. Like, you know what I mean? He's
Excalibur is the best thing that AEW has with a microphone, and Nigel McGuinness, I will give that as well.
You know, you like you some JR. God damn it.
Apparently, he's going through some more health issues. I wish him all the best.
JR?
As long as, yes, he's got some more health things going on. I've met him several times. He's was as cordial and as kind to me as anybody could be. Mm-hmm. And he's iconic. His old calls are amazing. He just doesn't need to be doing current calls.
I love JR. Like you said, he needs to be gone. There's a couple people. I think Tony Schiavone is on that list too. I think Taz
Tony Schiavone is a large part of the reason that I cannot watch AEW consistently. His screaming grates me to no end.
The only person that is somebody that's been on the mic, or excuse me, on the headset for years that I still bang with is Michael Cole, because Michael Cole reinvented himself. You know what I mean?
Several times.
Yeah. So it's like everybody else is like, bro, like I do think Michael Cole retires whenever the partnership between WWE and what's his face ends, because I think his star is climbing too high. I think ESPN is might when his contract is available, ESPN might hit him with the full court press and kind of like, hey, just work with us. That's it. Like, you know what I mean?
I can't see him leaving.
You don't think so? I understand he wanted to be a wrestler, but it's like, bro, he's major league level. Like, I think he's gonna be an NFL.
I think if he wanted to leave, he would have done so already, like we saw with
because they haven't given him a non-turn, like, you know, like they haven't given him an offer that he can't refuse. I think if they give him
I think if he gets that offer, WWE matches it. They're not going to let him leave.
You telling me if he gets Tom Brady money to commentate, you think WWE is going to match it? Because I think that's where Pat McAfee is at this point. He's Tom Brady level contract.
I don't think his WWE contract's like that. I think McAfee does it because he wants to be a part of the WWE.
No, I think he's the highest paid commentator on their roster.
You think 100%. Pat is?
Yes.
Over Michael Cole.
Because I think Michael Cole's contract is not as the announcer. Michael Cole is his official title. I forgot what it was. It's like communications or something. He's the head of communications. Pat McAfee just talked about it. No. Pat McAfee just said what his title was.
I think Joe Tessitore is probably making more than Pat McAfee.
You think? I don't know. It all depends, because Joe Tessitore. No, I don't think so. I think Joe Tessitore. Didn't he come from the fight world?
Joe Tessitore is still calling NFL and NCAA football games. He goes to NCAA games on Saturdays and then goes to WWE events on Saturday night.
I do see that, but a lot of those commentators, it's like a per appearance type thing. You know what I mean? Like,
no, Joe Tessitore is under WWE contract. Like, it's
but I'm saying, like, I don't think he wouldn't take the additional job unless he financially wants to be where he's at. He's by no means hurting money, but he's like, oh, I want to have a house in the Maldives too. Like, you know what I mean? Like we need a new addition type money. You know, I want a new Ferrari, which I'm not saying he does, but it's like he could definitely just work the NFL if he wanted to.
So this is according to the Times of India. So take that for what you will.
Yeah, they're horribly inaccurate.
I agree. They said that Samantha Irving was making $350,000 a year when she was there. Pat McAfee rumors say that he's making $500K a year. Michael Cole makes $650,000 a year, and that includes his everything, not just the commentary. So that's baked into what he gets.
I can see that.
So yes, and know that it's correct. Joe Tessitore, they say, probably makes about what Samantha Irvin did at $350,000.
Okay. Which is not a lot. I still think that
350.
I could see that being the title when like how much he was making when he was in NXT. No way he's doing all this travel for WWE. But I still do think that his main moneymaker is his podcast.
For McAfee?
Yeah.
Oh, there's absolutely no question. ESPN backed up a freaking Brinks truck.
Right.
Which that contract was made public, and he got 5 years, $85 million.
That's nice.
But it was reported that he was offered $125 million to go to Barstool or somebody. And he turned him down because he wanted to call his own shot. And he said when he went to the ESPN negotiations that he walked in and like had on his normal Pat McAfee style attire. And then he walked into all these businessmen in suits on suits on suits. And he was like, I wasn't sure if I should have been there. I probably should have hired someone to do all of that, but that's not what I do, which is what people love and hate about Pat McAfee.
Who do you think makes more money on their podcast? Jake Paul or Pat?
Pat.
Yeah. Even though Jake Paul is on major, because I think Jake Paul just loves money. I think that's why he's doing all this stuff. Because I think he's more than well off, and his deal with WWE is lucrative.
Logan Paul,
excuse me.
Okay, because I was like, I didn't know Jake Paul had a podcast.
Yeah, impulsive Logan Paul. I followed. They say that he's probably making $50 million a year off of his podcast.
Which one, Pat or Logan?
Logan. But that number is widely skewed, and I think that $50 million is probably what Logan Paul makes in a year. Behind Prime, behind Impulsive, behind everything. He probably makes $2 to $5 million a year off Impulsive.
I honestly think like it's amazing that he sacrifices his body and comes to Raw and all this stuff, because it's like, bro, like this is a guy that has more money than some of the GDP of the countries that he visits, and
it's insane.
And he's jumping out off of, like, you know what I mean, putting himself in bodily harm almost weekly, like, you know what I mean, like, which to me is crazy. Like, he doesn't need to do it, but he does it. Like, I don't give a crap how much that check is. A lot of people have been one and done. I think he loves wrestling, which is crazy to me because I don't think he referenced it. Like, it might have been something he kept to himself. Like,
I think he loves the spotlight, which is what lends itself to wrestling without a question at all. And his athleticism is amazing. Like, his athleticism is, you could put him up there with anybody in professional wrestling, and he's going to be able to go toe to toe with them from, natural athletic talent. But that lends ourselves to going right into the last match of Sunday Night Main Event, which was Logan Paul versus the Yeet Machine, Jey Uso. And the match,
it was a match.
It was a match. Not great, not bad. But we saw Jey finally get the upper hand right as Logan comes back into the ring. He's got brass knucks on his hand. Jey goes for the pin. Oh, no, sorry. I jumped ahead. He didn't have the brass knucks yet. Jey goes for the pin. Cena comes down, pulls Jey out because this still goes with that Cena storyline. He wants to kill wrestling. Pulls the ref out. Sorry, that's what I meant to say.
Mm-hmm.
And continues that Cena storyline of, I'm going to kill wrestling. What better way to kill wrestling than to have a YouTuber be the world champ?
Because of that backstage segment.
Pulls the ref out as he's getting ready to go down for 3. Paul goes to grab brass knucks. And as he comes back in with the brass knucks, that's when we get Cody's music. Cody runs down, makes the save. Jay gets the pin. Cody grabs the mic, says, Cena, I'm back. The quarterback is back. You've got Logan Paul. I've got my boy here, Jey Uso, at Money in the Bank. It's a tag match.
Which is way better than Travis Scott.
Yes. He throws the mic to the ground. Immediately cut to black because NBC says, no, we don't F around. You don't get extra time. It is 10 p.m. We have to go talk about this murder drama that happened 6 years ago and tell you how it happened. The end.
Dateline. I think Paul is in a great spot. I eventually think he's going to be a world champ, but I think right now he's in the spot he needs to be. He's going to definitely be a world champ, and then you're going to
unless he truly stays and truly
I think he gives up a year. Like Pat McAfee travels with WWE and films his podcast while traveling.
Well, no, so I think he films his podcast while traveling 2 days a week, which he does the exact same thing for the NCAA.
Yeah, but I think Paul can do it. I think it's a question of when he's gonna do it. Honestly, like,
is that something you want to see?
I definitely do. I like you guys have these faces on you, bro. The fucking Miz.
He is not the Miz.
Oh, not yet. He ain't. Not yet.
How long did it take the Miz to get there?
No, I'm thinking about, like, people were like, oh, reality TV guy. He's a social media guy. Where do you think all these athletes are going to come from 5 years from now? You think it's going to be NIL deals?
The NIL deals from the collegiate thing that they're doing.
I'm talking about the name people, the earmark people that have fame before. It's going to come from weird spaces. I think Logan Paul is an example of somebody that's going to come from the known world that is going to produce. Because think about all the failures that they've had before. Think about the Stephen Amell's. Think about all these other people that they tried this experiment with, and now they perfected it. It's like the super soldier serum. They got their Captain America, dog. Like, I think Logan Paul is going to open doors for somebody like that. Like,
you're comparing him to the Miz. The Miz was a full-time product of the WWE for 7 years before he got a championship.
You don't think Logan Paul is going to be in the WWE 4 years from now? I think he's going to remain for them for the foreseeable future.
I don't see him being a world champ inside of the next 3 years.
I'm not saying that. I'm saying it's going to happen before, and then we're going to talk about it, and families will get fed off of the pop that he's going to get when he wins that world title.
Because all the little kids that grew up getting scammed by him and losing millions of dollars are going to be like, bro, yay, I gave him CryptoZoo money.
So think about all the you keep talking about that scandal, but the internet is very forgetful when it comes to a story. Like, remember we sat here in our current administration that's currently happening in the U.S. government right now? They were like, no way. Look at that. Bro, I just saw a news piece the other day when they're talking about, like, being a part of that party and representing who he represents is the new thing. It's like, oh, you whack if you don't do it. Like, come on, man. Come on, man. We're living in a different times. This man, like, I know you probably have personal skin in the game when it comes to that, or you know somebody or you heard of somebody that you admire that was caught up in that. But bro, that's gonna be old news when this man like
oh, I agree. I just think he's a bad, and I've said myself,
and he can also change. Maybe we don't know. It's not like I understand the leak audio and all this stuff, but he probably wholeheartedly did not know it was gonna probably go down onto there. Because number one, do you think he'll risk his brand to get arrested? Because that is a FCC crime that you're describing. I don't think he would. I think he learned his lesson from the YouTube Japan thing, that he's like, he'll bend the rules to his thing, but I don't think he's gonna break them because he already saw how that happened. I honestly think that, you know, he's definitely not an imperfect person, but he said some shit the other day that, like, it led me to go down to Google's and search. He's talking about how Bad Bunny talks shit about him taking advantage of the tax breaks in Puerto Rico. Bad Bunny doesn't voluntarily pay taxes, and he's been living there his entire life. Like he's the richest person in Puerto Rico right now.
Hey, I'll be the first person to absolutely back anyone going through any legal loophole. I don't care about that. I do care when you've shown yourself to be a trash person over and over again. And I've defended it and said there's rumblings and there's rumors that he's tried to fix some things. I hope that continues because athletically he's phenomenal. What he can do, there's not a lot of people in the world that can do it the way that he does.
He is 30 years old. 30 years old. And literally, if you know anything about his dad and his parents, he's had zero example of how to be an adult.
Yeah, very true.
So I give him the benefit. I'm not out here, I'm not shooting him bail, but I just think that unless more there is to come to this, if he does it again, or if it's like, he starts eating the young of poor people, like, bro, man, like, nobody comes after freaking who's the Mayweather back. So many celebrities have backed these scam cryptos, knowing that it was a scam, telling people like, yeah, I bought this. No, they paid me $50 million to make this commercial.
Right.
You're the idiot that bought it. Like, you know what I mean? Like, but I understand. Like, Logan Paul is a hateable guy. He has a very punchable face. But I think at 30 years old, now if he did this at 45, like a la Brett Favre, who should have known better, his scandal, he should have known better. That tells me he's a shit person. Like, you know what I mean? Like if you're a full-blown adult with kids and you're doing this, it's like, come on, dog. Like, this guy is fucking, he's his dad's, what is it? They said he's his dad's caretaker or something. Come on, man. Like, look at his dad. Just read some of the shit that's been true about his dad. Don't watch a reality show because they're gonna sugarcoat everything. His dad was a piece of shit. It still is. And the fact that this man is still being financially kept by both sons and like, oh, it's all bullshit. But anyway,
the continued issues I have is recently as late 2023, the BBC tried to have an interview with him to ask him about, all these things that happened. He said yes. They flew a reporter to Puerto Rico to meet with him at the gym that he owns in Puerto Rico, and he sent a not very convincible look-alike to do the interview instead of actually meeting with them. After agreeing to meet with them, telling them where to go, how to do it, and they spent all this time and money, and he no-shows them and sends a look-alike.
So a 27, almost 28-year-old person does some stupid shit. Son, you're about to have a kid almost that age. You know how fucking stupid they are. And one with money. I
do not think my kid would do that, even if he was flush with cash.
Yeah, because he has you and your wife there to like set him straight. First of all, you were not the primary. Your kid is not the primary financial provider for your family. Shit, that fucks up dynamics. Look at Macaulay Culkin and all these people. When your parents start being a mouth that you feed, it gets really weird.
We still got hope. It's smaller, but we still got hope that could happen.
Like it's like, all of a sudden Shane will be like, oh man, I love Armani 3-piece suits with chains, and be like, yo, what the Shane Lewis's ever loving mine? Like,
shout out Jackson Shane.
Like, hey, you know what? I love him. I love
all Jackson. Over the timeline.
I love him. Like,
Jackson Shane, we need a sponsorship because you are flooding my timeline.
Like, I got a nice discount code. I got the chain and I like it. It's a little bit short. I might have to reach out and see if I can convince him to send me another one for a discount. Inch? I did, but 28-inch falls like right here, and I'm from 90s. I like my chains to hit right there. So
he's going down. He's going to link to your belly
button. He wants it on his sternum.
Yes, there you go.
I figured you wanted to go straight down and like tie into your belly button.
And people are like, "Oh, that's what a piece is for." And I was like, "I'm a grown man. I'm not going to wear Jesus piece. I don't even go to church like that." Like,
you don't want you a little Seth Rollins or a little Yeet. You know what I'm saying?
Nah, I would get the Knicks, but the Knicks, because number one, Jackson doesn't make like Knicks pieces, and the websites that I found that were legit were obscenely more expensive than the chain. It's like, oh, this is like a $3,000 piece custom. I'm good. I'm a Knick fan, but not to like buy a small Honda Accord.
It's not bad. Not terrible.
Like if I was on the Knicks, yes, I'll 100% have it. Even then, I feel weird because NBA players don't give a shit about their teams unless they retire on them. Like, you know what I mean?
Touche.
Like if you're a journeyman,
I'm gonna give Brunson the benefit that he cares about the Knicks right now.
Oh yeah, they have his dad. No, I think he's gonna retire a Knick, but you know what I mean. If you're like anybody there, like if you're Deuce McBride, who might leave the Knicks at a certain point, you're not gonna wear a Knicks chain or get a Knick logo tattooed on you. You know what I mean?
Every logo tattooed on you.
Yeah,
but you asked the question of who I think is going to be the next group of superstars, and I think it's going to be the collegiate NILs. And the reason I believe that is on Sunday, competing head-to-head with AEW.
Don't pull up Obafemi. Don't pull him up.
No, I'm
He's
not
a 1 in a million.
I'm not yet. I'm going to counter the 1 in a million because we kicked off Battleground with Sol Ruka and Kalani Jordan, which are 2 of the NIL collegiate kids that have come through, and they put on a hell of a match to start the show.
But I know as much as everybody loves her finisher, but that finisher, it's all about the setup. Like the actual finisher sucks. Like the actual move, it's all about the setup. It's like if you were waiting for the RKO, and the best part of the RKO is him slapping himself and doing the face motions. Like it's usually the RKO.
It's an RKO that needs a obvious assist from your opponent every single time.
Like that's not out of nowhere. That's perfectly planned.
Yeah.
Like,
and spoiler alert, we saw that as Sol Ruka hit the Soul Snatcher off the top rope, which is normally off the middle, and did a full, like, what is it, 580, 520 before catching the Soul Snatcher and getting the pin to defeat Kalani Jordan. But that was a hell of a match. Probably out of everything we've talked about so far, the best match of the weekend.
We still haven't talked about what I think is
wrestling.
It's the biggest part of that weekend out of everything. I know AEW had an amazing pay-per-view, but Trick Williams becoming TNA World Heavyweight Champion.
We get there.
That is huge.
Before we jump in, because there was one more match. There were obviously several more matches on the show, but there was another match that was a hell of a match. And honestly, it took what Sol Ruka did. The women stole the show at the
Stephanie
NXT
Vaquer
versus, and we saw Stephanie Vaquer and Jordan Grace put on a hell of a match that saw Stephanie Vaquer defeat and retain, and they did like the cordial handshake afterwards. And then we had Obafemi and Miles Bourne, which was arguably the best of the men's matches of the weekend.
Which honestly changed my mind, because I was like, why are they putting this kid in the spot? But he made me a believer. He put on a hell of a match, and shades of Randy Orton. His signature moves were on point. I don't care what you say. Shit was fire.
I had no clue when we talked about this a little bit beforehand, not to take away from the match. I had no clue that Miles was dating Stephanie Vaquer.
Oh, 100%. 100%. As a matter of fact, Obafemi in a radio interview cut a promo about it. And apparently the internet did not know. This is rumored for months now, ever since she showed up there. But it's yeah, they look great together. But yeah, like he's definitely baby RKO. Like, and not in a bad way. Not like how I forgot the wrestler's name that everybody was like, he's gonna be the new Batista. He's gonna be the new Batista. And then he flushed out. Mason Ryan, you remember him?
Oh yeah.
So he's gonna be the new Batista, and then nope, he's not even the new version of himself. He's horrible.
Did he have something? Was there?
He got fired. I forgot for what. I know it was something controversial.
I can't remember if there was a controversy or not. Which guy had a great look and did a decent job, just never kind of got over that sophomore slump and just continued to slump his way down. But happens, from Obafemi retaining in a solid match, we got
he was released because he had about as much charisma as a pair of old sneakers.
Hey, some of those got some charisma. Yeah. Depends on which ones it is. But then we got Joe Hendry and Trick Williams for the TNA Championship. And spoiler alert, if you haven't seen, because you know we're going to talk about
I already said it. It's no spoiler alert.
I was like, that's been done.
Well, I know, but when Joe Hendry came out, you can see that he wasn't winning that match. The look on his face, he was like, yeah, I'm losing this shit. That's exactly what he looked like the entire way.
First of all, shout out to the producers zooming in and the TNA president like being in sync. And he was like that was amazing. And it's like, of course, is storyline wise, of course, but like I am way more excited about this than it was when Kenny Omega won the title, because Kenny won the title and kidnapped it and won it from arguably a lesser champion. I had no belief in my body that I thought that he was going to drop it back when Kenny won, but I 100% believe this is the tip of the iceberg. You could have a feud, or you could transition this to a new TNA champion on the TNA roster. And it does two things. It gives Joe Hendry a feud, and it also allows TNA to showcase their title either with Trick or somebody else that they did not necessarily want to face Joe Hendry immediately. You know what I mean? That's how you get around that.
Yeah, let's Joe Hendry have another chase for the title, which his chase was fantastic. And you can put another TNA superstar over huge if they let that person come and take down Trick.
I do think that they definitely have to have him drop the belt on TNA pay-per-view.
That's the only logical sense in the wrestling world is that happens. Unless,
how long do you give him this run for? Is it short term, or you let him finish out the year? Because TNA does not have a lot of pay-per-views, and the way that the TNA schedule works, NXT superstars can make those. That's why Trick appeared a couple times.
I think we talked about this last week.
Yeah,
we were trying to determine when they would most likely have the title change if he won.
Mm-hmm.
And I think we saw that there's in July, isn't there a big TNA pay-per-view? What's their big one?
I don't know. My phone just died. Somebody look it up.
Slammiversary is their big one. I think that's in July.
Okay, that's a good one.
Yeah, July 20th, 2025, they have Slammiversary.
Well, never mind.
And that would probably be, that gives,
because you could book a program, and they don't necessarily have to do like kind of how Kenny did, which is like, oh, I'm the best superstar here, or I'm not bringing this belt back. It's kind of like, I'm here to compete, dog. Like, you know what I mean? Like, hopefully they go that route, and then, the chip on the TNA talent could be like, we want somebody from our roster to be the flag bearer for our program. You know what I mean?
Yeah, I think the two biggest shows are Slammiversary and Bound for Glory. Slammiversary is in July, Bound for Glory is in October. So if they wanted to stretch it out, they could go to Bound for Glory, which it could be a situation that Trick goes and they bring in a challenger and Trick wins on a TNA pay-per-view in July, and then they continue that until October. because that crossover would be huge.
I would add a caveat. I would put Joe Henry in a 3-way match and have him win the NXT title,
which I would not be upset about.
From Oba?
Yeah, no, it could be like whoever Oba is feuding, and then Joe Henry gets inserted, which we know that that happens in NXT storyline. Have Oba Femi like concentrating on the NXT guy, and then Joe Henry, whose finishing move gives you the element of the surprise, have him win, and then Oba Femi be like, bruv, even though he's not British.
Bruh.
I just didn't want to do a poor African accent that you know what I mean. But like that could be dope. And then have them headline that pay-per-view and then swap the titles back. You know what I mean? And then you have fresh new people. And it opens up new storylines. You know what I mean? Like how you can have a Miles Jordan beat Oba and Joe Henry for the belt, and then have whoever's facing Trick beat him for the belt, and then you get new crowning champions. Or in NXT's case, give it back to Oba.
Yeah,
or a Ricky Saint. That opens it up. You keep the Oba Femi Ricky Saint feud in your pocket. Have Ricky
and that's
Saint.
Something we glossed over. They continue to push the Ricky Saint Ethan Page program that's coming on, and
which I think is hilarious because they're showing that hey, these guys are money. AEW, you guys.
Where did they come from?
And so now, the AEW pay-per-view was pretty decent.
So I did not see any of the AEW pay-per-view.
Go ahead. Sorry.
As this being my first match, actually watching that Joe Hendry was a part of.
You're believing.
Hold on. Wait. Wait. I will give him his 2 claps from now on. That was a good match.
There you go.
That was a very good match.
He's been converted.
I like his finisher. I don't know what it's called, but I like his finisher.
It's like
he looks strong as shit holding up Trick Williams. Which
the way he
by his leg.
He gets the 2-hand and he like cups the thigh so it lets him rise up real high for the choke slam. It's the way that I had the choke slam when I was a kid.
When you was working?
No, I never used a choke slam as a finisher or anything, but that's how I used to have to do it as a kid to be able to lift people bigger than me.
It was a good match, a very good match. I just wanted to put in my little 2.5 cents.
This guy. So you're a believer now.
You know what, man? I like it. A lot of his shit has been popping up on my timeline because people keep sending me stuff.
Who?
But yeah, he's cool. He's cool. Definitely looking forward to seeing more of him. So it'd be cool. That's it. We can go to AEW now.
We could so the actual results of AEW were as follows. Mercedes Moné opened up against Chris Statlander on the match card. I'm not really going to go over the undercard. So basically, you had.
I mean, I think we need to jump in just for a second because this is the only thing that I've like truly seen anything about because it's been lighting the internet on fire. And Harley Cameron forced Megan Bain face into Anna Jay's butt once again because that's like the new internet thing where Harley Cameron keeps shoving people's faces into butts.
I'm not familiar with that. That was in the buy-in, I believe, which I didn't watch.
It was in the buy-in.
It was in the buy-in. I was lifing, So how the show opened up, right? At least for me, it was the women's final for the Owen Hart Foundation. And it was Jamie Hayter versus Mercedes Moné, which they put on a decent match. But no, if you watch any type of wrestling, any type of wrestling, you knew that Mercedes Moné was going to win. Not because of who she is. Number one, they have a face champion. Why are they going to have 2 face? No, I think they have a face champion. You got to have a heel challenger. And the more compelling match, the biggest match is going to be Mercedes Moné versus Toni Storm, which we'll get to in a second. Spoiler alert: Toni Storm retained. And then some noteworthy matches, like Ricochet put on a decent match. I didn't follow this storyline. It was an ambulance match, stretcher match, in which Ricochet he beat Mark Briscoe by using the scissors. He did a nice little spot where he quote unquote stabbed him, hit him with it. They did cutaways. It wasn't like he literally stabbed him. And then he did his finisher on the concrete, which is the little clothesline where he throws himself at you, and then he threw him in there and into the stretcher match. I'm sorry, into the ambulance and closed the door, which is how the stretcher match ended. And then I believe after that, they had the tag match between FDR, Nigel McGuinness, and Daniel Garcia, which I did not catch at all, but the result was, of course, FDR winning. There was a small botch that I saw live, which was, I don't know what happened there, but there's a very specific spot, and you can find it online, where I believe the spot was that FDR, I believe, no, it was Wheeler was supposed to move Dash out the way. Sorry, Cash was supposed to move Wheeler out the way and clothesline the other opponent. But what ended up happening was an opposing tag team member moved his opponent out of the way and then short clotheslined his tag team partner. And like they kept moving so quick that I literally was like, huh? But then, in the group chats, we were like, yo, what the hell was this? So anyway, that happened. I believe another part of the card was the Anarchy match, which was pretty cool. It ended as it was supposed to end when, Shane or with his team winning. It kind of like they had, what you expected. It was a spot fest, basically Swerve won with his stomp on his new sneakers, which it felt like a long commercial. He put spikes in them. Took a second, and props to him, because I thought it was going to be awkward, him taking off his boots and trying to like lace up those sneakers. But he did as best as he could. He took off his boots. They looked like they were slip-on, slipped into the sneakers. And shout to, I believe it was Nick or Matt. One of the Bucks took the double stomp from the top rope with spikes, what appeared to be on the top of his head. And at the same time, Kenny grabbed the other young buck and did a power driver or power bomb into the table.
The one-wing angel into the exploding table.
Yeah, which for a second, the way it exploded, I thought it exploded something in Kenny's face. Pause. And it was like one of the
said it. I was like,
it was like one of those spots. Of course, the match of the night was the men's match. Finally, AEW sticks the landing in a main event. I think after thinking about it, Hangman Page did deserve to win. He's now slated to face Jon Moxley in what is a full-blown redemption story for the belt at All In.
How many matches were on this card?
It was only about 6.
3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8.
Are you counting the buy-in? Because I'm not counting the buy-in.
9 after the buy-in, and there were 2 matches on the buy-in. There were 11 matches, 9 on the main card.
I mean, I do know for friends that did the scrum didn't start until like 1:45 p.m.
Yeah, because they go from 8 to midnight.
Yeah.
That's so long.
But it's crazy to me that a scrum, you got to take an hour and a half to get ready.
They can't have another CM Punk eating pastries and talking about, I work with children.
Yeah. Hey, I don't know, man.
So main card, the women's tournament finale, Mercedes and Jamie. We had Nigel McGuinness, Daniel Garcia versus FTR. We had Briscoe versus Ricochet, which one of the spots that I hated was, I don't get this whole "you are bald" thing. There's a lot of bald wrestlers. But Briscoe took the time to put him in a headlock, put cleaning solution, and shine his bald head. And then Tony Schiavone, oh my God, he's going to blind the cameras. Hated that call as well. We had the tag team championship with Hurt Syndicate versus Sons of Texas.
I forgot about that match because in no way in hell the Hurt Syndicate was going to lose. They didn't even push the storyline forward, because what looked like a botch by MJF ended up being like scrubbed under the table. So they retained. Like, the best spot about that match is, of course, their offense, the tag team, and the music. The entrance was shaking the arena.
Yeah.
And then it's like, it was a weird opportunity. People. Like, you have West Side there. MVP sings part of it. Do a live entrance.
Do it. Which they've done so many times before.
Yeah. So it's like, all right, but whatever.
Then we got probably in Hangman Ospreay. Apparently I did watch this and didn't even realize it. I just didn't watch the whole thing because it was really long. Then we got, which I think was match of the night. We got Okada and Speedball Bailey.
It was a good match, but again, that could have been on a Wednesday night, because it could have been on a Wednesday
night because AEW keeps putting shit like this on Wednesday night.
Well,
that should never be a Wednesday night match. Other than people don't think enough of Speedball Bailey, that man is probably the hardest working.
No, he's amazing, but Okada was in no way, shape, or form in jeopardy of losing his belt.
No,
at all. And
like they
could have left this match off the card, and they could have left the 6-man tag off the card, because it was to the point that the New Japan guys had to run out from the back to try to save the boredom of the crowd, because the crowd really did not like this match. Not in that they were booing, and then people were leaving to go to the bathroom to get ready for the main event, because they sandwiched this match between the Anarchy arena and the main event, which was dumb. This should have been a match somewhere earlier in the card.
Yes,
because they went out to like silence.
And the match he's referring to is the trios match, which was Paragon, which is the Undisputed Era. It's not Bobby Fish, Kyle O'Reilly. My brain's
got
not working.
This Adam Cole.
Give me the next one.
And what's it called? It's the Messiah, the Backbreaker.
Roderick Strong.
Yeah.
Yes, my brain just stopped working, and I know Adam Cole personally, and I'm still gonna bring his name to my brain. And then we had
it was versus Roppongi, Vice or whatever. No, they came out. Excuse me. It was
the Don Callis family, which is
Takeshita,
Josh,
the Walking Weapon,
TNA. Yeah,
Walking Weapon. Yep.
I honestly don't know him well enough. All the stuff that I've seen is really good from him. What is his last name?
I just know him as the Walking Weapon.
And Derek ain't gonna be a help on this.
And the third member, which was what's it called? A Mohawk. Wasn't he in his match, or was it
Mohawk being Archer?
Yeah.
No, he wasn't in there.
Who was it? Oh no, it was, oh my God, I forgot.
Kyle Fletcher.
Kyle Fletcher. He was the one that was there. And like on
Josh
paper,
Alexander.
Yeah, on paper, this is a dope match. But the way they put it in this, like the crowd was like,
yo, I've been here for 6 hours. I just saw absolute chaos with bodies hit the floor by drowning pool, blasting through the house speakers. And now you're putting on this match? Like, I need a cigarette break.
Yeah. And
we used to call those cigarette matches, even though I've never smoked a cigarette in my life. That was a cigarette match where all of my friends who did smoke would go and take a cigarette break.
And then after that, we had the amazing main event, which told a good story. This is the first time in a long time that I've watched a main event that actually like improved on the card. He's usually like, maybe you should have stopped there.
Yeah.
Like,
which kind of weird. I mean, I absolutely think you've got to end. Like, I get it. Like, I get that's the main event, but I think anytime you have anarchy in the arena, that needs to end the night, because especially when they're like, when Kenny Omega grabs a microphone, it has in the past, and Kenny Omega grabs a microphone and says, "Sing along if you know it, play that shit." As Drowning Pool, bodies hit the floor, starts blaring. Like, that's a match that will keep people awake. And for those who don't know, that was the Death Riders with the Young Bucks versus Kenny Omega, Swerve Strickland, Samoa Joe, Powerhouse
the
Hobbs.
Ops. I'm talking about the Ops.
The Ops, yes.
And then they had a weird run-in with Hook, which made no sense. Like, I guess there's a storyline that
the Hook run-in.
So Hook came out, helped Samoa Joe, and then he immediately left when Gabe Kidd came out and interfered. And then, out of all people, they left money on the floor to come out and neutralize Gabe Kidd. It was Mark Briscoe instead of, oh boy, to come out, who Gabe Kidd put out on the shelf.
Who did Gabe Kidd put on the shelf?
Mr. Brooklyn himself. What the hell is his name? Jesus Christ. And of course my phone died. Because I had notes on my phone. The older wrestler from the 90s that he talks really good, that he was the inaugural international champion. Eddie Kingston. Instead of having Eddie Kingston, you had Mark Briscoe.
Is Eddie Kingston under contract?
Yes. He's just hurt. And he's back. He's primed to make it back, I believe. I don't know. It could have been a timing thing. It could have been he was still hurt, but bro.
Yeah, a year ago, Eddie Kingston signs a 4-year more to his contract extension.
It's like, come on, dog. Like, out of all the people, Mark Briscoe, like, I get it because, they used the ambulance for him to help with Gabe Kidd, but it's like, dog, just bring Eddie Kingston out. I don't know. Maybe they're saving that.
We had a couple friends that were live at the AEW show, and that everyone said it was a great show. My biggest problem with AEW shows is they're really, really long.
And it's funny because didn't they used to make no, they weren't in existence when WWE used to do the one night.
No, and that's why they went away from that. There's one night of WrestleMania that was, I mean, we had that one that was 12 hours of programming, start to finish, and
the New York one went way too long.
And it went so long that nobody could leave.
Yeah.
Talking about 29 or 2019?
Kofi Mania.
Yeah, that one was crazy. It's funny because that was the one time that I was like, let me be smart. Instead of me going, because there was bus trips coming from Baltimore to go to WrestleMania round trip. And I reached out to the company because two buddies of mine were coming from Baltimore. They were taking the round trip. I said, hey, are you guys full? He's like, no. I was like, I have a weird ask. I'm here already, but I want to come back with you guys. They're like, yeah, absolutely. So I got there, dropped my bags at the bus as I was walking to the stadium. And then as soon as the bell rang, they sent out a WhatsApp or a group text to everybody. And they're like, all right, we're leaving in 20 minutes. And quickly made my way out of the arena, went to all the buses, got on, and I was at home showering because it was hot that day. Showering when I realized that people were posting on Twitter and Instagram and Reddit that they were still stuck in Maine. And I was like,
stranded at MetLife.
Like, I was like, man, I'm home. Like, what are you talking about? It was probably outside of the ride because I sat in the aisle against next to somebody as big as me, and they were like falling asleep and leaning on me, and I don't like that body to body contact, so I just kept sliding over to the point that I was like this, and then on top of that, I had some gastrointestinal issues. Like I wanted to take a shit, but it's a bus bathroom, and I was just like, all right. So I'm like this. Try not to fart on a bus. And then as soon as I get to Maryland, because the bus stop where they were dropping everybody off, I literally I previously left my car there, or I had my girlfriend at the time, who's not my wife. I said, hey, can you drive my car there? We were already living together. The keys are there, and sure enough, left the key under the tire. Went in, boy. I never driven home so fast. And then I don't know about you guys. I don't know about you guys, but every time I leave a wrestling event, I gotta shower. I can't just like raw dog into bed. So I finally got to the restroom, and
there's a lot of funky at a wrestling event.
Yeah, and then I just feel like there's like a thin film of like just publicness on your skin. That like even when we came back in Atlanta, when we came back from the pay-per-view, what did everybody do? We went upstairs to freshen up, like changing clothes and everything. It's like I felt like going to like wrestling events, any event that's public, that is massive. I feel like I've been riding. Yeah, I feel like I've been riding public transportation all day long.
Yeah, you got to get the outside off of you.
Yeah, and it's like, but yeah, shout out to the people that got stuck, like people that lived in New York. Then it was like, nah, son, y'all rookies out here taking Ubers and driving. Now we gonna take the public transit. Like,
nope, shut down.
Yeah,
they were supposed to keep it open and it got shut down.
Hilarious. And the crazy thing is, shout out to the WWE for able to get them to come back. Like people went home that worked for the New Jersey Transit, ended up being called in, and they came back because that's how massive amounts of people were stuck.
That's crazy. Yeah, were you at that event too, Shane?
I was supposed to be at that event and ended up getting sick 2 weeks before, like badly sick.
I would still went.
That was pre-COVID. No, I was really sick.
I still went.
Well, and I really, really, really regret it because that's when a lot of my close friends hung out, and that entire like 3-4 day weekend, Brody Lee, Luke Harper hung out with our crew all weekend, and I had met him twice before, and absolutely amazing guy, and he and I got along like incredibly well. Like I still have his number in my phone.
We I know I hung out with Rand, and it was Rand, West Side Gun, Eric from Nerds, a bunch of people. We were just hanging out in the city, and it was like right after the New Japan show. So back then it was I didn't even know about Wale Mania.
That was one of the best Wale Mania.
That's the big one.
I didn't even go. I didn't even go to that one. I went to New Japan, and then I had spring break tickets, Joey Janela, and then I saw where the spring break tickets and how long it takes to get there, public transit, because nobody drives to the city, and nobody's going to park in the city to drive to Jersey. And I was already inebriated. So I was like, I literally was like, hey, anybody want these Joey Janela tickets? And I just handed them to somebody and went. But man, that I still don't remember how I got home. I remember I lost my AirPods. The first time I ever lost my AirPods was there. I fell asleep. We were at a nightclub waiting to hang out, and I like literally fell asleep, and then Rand like nudged me, and I was like, oh man, I gotta go. And he was like, what? And I literally just got up and left. like I'm like,
loves to tell that story too, by the way.
Like I literally was like, oh nope, I gotta go. This is crazy. Like I full blown fell asleep out and about. I was like, I gotta go. And I hopped on the train, got back, and literally got into the my shout out to my homeboy Jason's house I was at, and slept for 3.5 hours. You heard me right. 3.5 hours. Got up because my cousin was dropping me off at MetLife Stadium. I went to the Bullet Club block party. Shout out to Tamatonga and Tongaloa and Steve, their manager, for putting on their event. It was the first of their kind. Checked my bags with the wrestlers because I already had emailed and I was talking to Steve at that point. I was like, dog, I need a place to put my bags. He was like, I got you. Got there, was completely not even hungover, exhausted, and then proceeded to drink to my body weight. Like, I had meet and greet tickets. I gave it to a young kid who thought that they were gonna, and like, it legit, like, because it was like literally, the Meadowlands was like across the other side of the highway. So, like, I was like, not even the highway, it was across the street from the Meadowlands. It was a bar there. I literally got into somebody's car that I barely knew and just drove over. And I was like, all right, later. like, like drunk as hell. And then, yeah, that was a long day. Like, I sobered up at the event. Like, I remember one match I was sitting, I had a sweet chair, and it was like one of those, like, oh, somebody put up their suite, and like everybody knew each other except me, and I just got there and I was like I was real excited. Then like at some point I was like,
yeah,
I went to the private bathroom and like washed my face, like completely washed my face.
Took a sick bath.
And then I like, all right. And I went and got some food, and then I prepared myself for the Kofi Mania match, and I was just like, Jesus Christ, that match, also, man, that building shook. When I say it shook,
we gotta keep going into this.
Yeah, not going into it. Not only disappointed for missing that, disappointed for not hanging out with everybody that weekend, including Luke Harper, but I missed Hornswoggle versus Scott Steiner.
Y'all didn't know each other back then, right?
Who?
Marcos and I didn't.
I knew Rand. Yeah, I hung out with Rand immediately after. That was when Rand jumped in the ring and got his ass handed to him by Billy Ray. He did the New Japan song. I got to meet all of LIJ because apparently Los Ingobernables were doing a photo shoot in front of Madison Square Garden, and their photographer said okay, and then they left them, and their handler like got pulled because the person that I drove down with, they needed to park their car, and I would say, hey, I'll wait for you here. So they went to the garage, and I was hanging out. I was like, oh, I'm like looking at them doing the photo shoot and everything and blah, blah, blah. And then all of a sudden the photographer's like, all right, he goes in through a door, leaves, and then I can see the panic in their face because they're like, our handler walked in, and then they go check the door is closed, and they were just like, and then one of them, it goes, hello, and I was like, just call them. And he's like, you know, they were out there in their wrestling gear and and I don't know if you've been to the Garden. The Garden is not like, you know, it's not like that you can knock on a door and they're like, yo, let me in. It's not like a backward gym. It's like, and it's not fully, it's New Japan. So I was like, hold on. And I'm banging at the door, and then finally security guard, I was like, yo, you guys left wrestlers out here that barely know English. And they were like, oh. And then he's like, oh, thank you. Like, they gave me a picture, and like,
I should have just walked in with them.
No, I don't. You don't play with New York security, dog. I ain't trying to get like hit to the face with a nightstick for not being somewhere. But it was funny because I enjoyed myself. I hung out with her. I was sitting in a nice seat next to some strangers. They started passing around a book. And I was like, what is this book? And I was like, yo, bro, what are you doing? It was a flask. They had a full-blown book this big that was a flask. And the guy kept walking around with it like that. And then he went because his boy was like, yo, you got more cups? But it was funny. They have a flask, but they all went and got cups for water, like the little courtesy cups. And then, they were drinking some straight tequila, and I drank a couple of times, bro. I was just like, by the time I met Rand, that's what probably didn't make me want to go to Joey Janela, because I was knee deep in drinking. And I saw Neo. This was the first time that I saw them after StarCast, and it was like, yo, how you been? And it was like craziness. And then I saw people from Brooklyn, and then I saw people from other wrestling groups. I was running into people left and right. And apparently the only thing that people wanted to do with me was drink. And I saw Rand, and then I was just like, all right, where are we going? Then we went to some bar, and then my homeboy from Maryland was like, yo, I was like, yeah, I'm at the corner here. And then he pulled around the corner. He's like, that's West Side Gun. I swear on everything I love, I did not know who West Side Gun was. But my homeboy jumped on his jock to the point that, you know how, oh man, you know, I appreciate you, dog. And I was just like, and I go to Rand, I was like, who is he? He's like, oh, West Side Gun. And I was like, the guy that knows Action Bronson? Because my homie is related to Action Bronson. They're from, you know, they're cousins, like second cousins, but they're most importantly they're from the same neighborhood. And he would like send me pictures of them hanging out, and like, you know, Action Bronson is really close, or was at the time, with Finn Balor. And he was like, oh yeah, West Side, because, you know, he was still coming up in the rap game. And like, you know, I'm already at a point where I didn't listen to that gutter street rap. And it was funny as hell. And I was like, oh, okay, cool. I found out later on, and I started listening to him. I was like, oh, he's dope. And he's been a cool dude since. So, you know, I'm not saying I'm his friend, but, you know, he says what's up to me when I see him. You know, I'm not in the music industry like Rand. Like, Rand is his homie. I just happen to be there when Rand talks to him.
That's dope. But
definitely, yeah, that New York thing was dope. But ladies and gentlemen, boys and girls, that has been a very verbose episode of Bumps and Bruises podcast. Once again,
let's talk about Raw.
And my co-hosts. Oh shit. Yeah.
I'm like, we didn't talk about Raw at all.
Oh, well, guys, Raw was rawing.
I keep forgetting that the whole holiday weekend threw me for a loop.
Yeah. Sorry, guys. We'll catch you next time on the next episode of Bumps and Bruises. Peace, y'all. Awkwardness while we